whether it's the bank or the telco, the insurance company, those were the three ones we focused on which entity in our local market is really getting automation right. And that's automation aligned to customer experience. Who would like to guess, and don't be biased, I'm not going to that table, which is the organization in those three categories do you think that is getting automation right? But let me just say this, who judges the efficiency of automation? What is the perimeters, if you would? It's not how many RPA bots you have, it's not how many processes you've automated, it's the customer. Customer is the final judge. Maybe three people. Who's the organization doing automation the best or almost perfect? Any hands? Just shout it out. Insurance. Who? Insurance. Insurance, but company name. What do you think? I'll give you some time to think. Anyone? Shout outs. Sprint. Are you in banking and insurance? No. Okay, I'll help you guys. Here is the reveal. The organization in our market that's really, really getting automation right as judged by the clients is nobody. You might think it's you. Have you spoken with your customers recently? That you also congratulate them on their wedding anniversaries? I'm going to give you a few more stories. I just want to make sure the slides are up. That looks gross. Is that what I look like? That's generative AI right there. Okay. There's a lot of things we can't automate. And sorry if I share so many, hopefully common sense things that you're going to think, wow, this bio and then this guy, because I'm not going to give you some incredible new insights. The one thing I tell most of my clients, and they're often the big corporates in our market, obviously something like human experience, you can't automate that. I mean, if you've been in a job for 30 years, and somebody 15 layers above you decides to, let's RPA that job, without even really knowing what that job is, you can't automate it. If I ask you what else you can't automate, you might say things like consciousness. Excuse me, which is true for now. But my experience is the following. The one thing that you cannot automate is stupidity. Okay. And I'm going to tell you a story, and then I want to go to Elon Musk's book, jump into the slides, and try and do it in the few minutes that I have left. A year ago, one of our large hospital groups asked me to help them with a strategy on automating the desk of their hospitals, 83 hospitals across the nation. I went to their main hospital in Joburg, which is also their head office. So I walked into this boardroom, and all these smart people, all these execs were drawing. There were 3 walls that essentially were like drawn on, mind mapped on, etc. I asked them 2 questions. No, I asked them 1 question, sorry, and I gave them 2 reasons. I said, have you actually spoken with these people whose jobs you're going to automate? Front desk. It's very manual, as you know. I mean, if you've been to the hospital 3 months ago, you most likely have to fill in all the same forms again. So huge potential for automation, RPA, etc., smart extraction of data from documents, and so forth. So they said, no, they haven't. And I said, I'm not able to help you. I didn't say I will not help you, because I also, if automation is about the replacement of people, if that's the primary purpose, I'm not willing to do it. And I understand we don't live in la-la land, and there are numbers, and sometimes the only number is headcount reduction to finance certain things. I asked them, well, and then they said, why not? And I said, number 1, if you want to take people on the journey with you, you have to do it from the start. If you want people to storm the castle gates with pitchforks, then they must just have a sniff in the nose that you might take their job away. Don't underestimate how much your change management initiative will fail if people think they're going to lose their jobs. I don't care how many posters you have at the urinals, change management posters, how many great town halls you have, etc. Those things are BS when it comes to my job and my children's future. That was the first reason. Take people with you. The second reason is there's knowledge and experience in those people's heads that you cannot imagine. And this is why automation initiatives fail in my experience. It's made at a level where they're not automating the right things for the right reasons in the right way. And especially, and I also worked for some of these consulting firms, if the vendor's KPI is on the amount of licenses they're going to sell you to automate stuff, they're going to get you to try and automate the shit out of everything. Or AI that out of everything as well, without any common sense. So then I asked their permission to actually have coffee with 20 of these administrators. Very relaxed. They mentioned a number of things that something like RPA and other tools can fix. For instance, they have to go to one system, look for something, copy and paste it, put it in a spreadsheet, then go to that system. We know that that is very automatable already. The single biggest frustration they had in their day-to-day lives at work was that the printer was too far, okay? And what they told me is with every patient interaction, on average, they had to walk to the printer 3 times. So can you imagine what my recommendation was as an AI expert? And remember this phrase, bring the printer closer. That helped them a great deal. Do you think the people at the top would have known that? Because in any corporate, guys, and I know we deal in real, it's corporates, it's silo, there's politics, etc. But I call it bullshit layers as you go to the top. Okay? Because what really happens on the ground, very few people really know, especially not the people at the top. And this really improved their lives. And since then, I've been thinking about that phrase. So when you think about AI and automation, start with what is your printer closer, bring your printer closer moment. Put it on the wall somewhere. Because that common sense little thing, which is the best ChatGPT we've ever received, it's about 50,000 years old. Everyone's got access to it. Most people don't use it. It's one of the key things to always use when we think about tech. All right, so now let me finally get into my slides before you go for your cocktails. I'm going to link AI and automation to customer service. And again, because I think if we do it right, the real judges, our clients, even though we won't do it perfect, we know that, the real judges, our customers, will say, something has changed. It's easier to deal with you because we get automation right. It's not about you've got 50 RPA bots and your target is 51 next year. I spoke with, not colleagues, a previous client of mine here today. They know who they are. We spoke about it. I dealt with an insurance company. They purchased 501 RPA bots from Blue Prism. Some of you might know who that is. I don't know where the one comes from, 501. And the deal was that for 5 years, they will land 100 new bots every year. Obviously, in the last year, it must be 101. And at that stage, when I was consulting with them, which was about 2 years ago, because I think either this or next year is the last year, the utilization on these bots was about 18%. And this poor team managing the bots, they just get 100 new bots every year. Because we're going to RPA everything. And very few entities in the business wanted to deal with them. One of the reasons is that they're very smart, very technical people. But people in other areas of the business did not understand what they were doing. This team of very smart RPA engineers could not speak in a way that business can understand. They wanted to throw everything at, or RPA at every problem that business leaders said to them. Does it ring a bell? Anyone? Does this happen? Just some corporates? All right. We know that there's huge potential to serve our clients. Some of you might be getting it right already. Well, unless you've asked your customers, because you might be surprised what they say. But, okay, let me leave you with just a few thoughts before I end off. I'm sure we all use Netflix. They may be the best example of hyper-personalization. And again, they don't always get it right. But I don't know if you've noticed that when you log onto Netflix, that what they call the landing card, which shows you the series or the movie, that image changes almost every time. Have you seen it? Because they know from a behavioral science point of view, another key concept in what we do, it's not just tech, how people behave, that they might know that I actually like to watch action movies in the mornings and romantic comedies in the evenings. Or there's certain days of the week, so it could be because my son is only with me every second week. There's some days that I just don't have time for Netflix. Or I might watch something that's a bit shorter and easier to consume. So it picks up my behavior. So for every one of these movies or series, they've got about 300 different landing cards. So they might try and encourage me to watch a different kind of a movie. But because they know I like action movies, it might be a romantic movie with a guy with a rose in his mouth with a machine gun. Because that might attract me. Like it attracts me. They also know I typically click on images with a red background or a blue background. And they do this in real time. And this technology exists. It's incredible what they do. Hyper-personalization. I know it's not that easy in a bank, regulation, etc., etc. But we need to try and think, how can we, in real time, from a behavioral science point of view, serve our clients better? I think the judge of hyper-personalization is if you tell me something that I need, that I did not know I need, and I did not know you offer it. What a great contact center call that is. Because like most of you, the numbers, because I've now got a policy, I just don't answer numbers I don't recognize. But now and then I'm worried because my son is at school, they're on a trip. I have insurance. I am not necessarily going to the gym, but I'm a member of the gym. And that opening part of the call is clear that they know nothing about me. I think we deserve better as consumers. Netflix is worth following. Here's one of my most favorite quotes by Schopenhauer. Talent hits a target that no one can hit. Who knows that that's only half of the quote? Any philosophers here? Genius hits a target that no one can see. That's great from a sport motivation, etc. But think of this. If you use data analytics and all the stuff we're talking about here today, what is there that you're not seeing at the moment when it comes to your client data? Because for me, that's AI. A lot of us think that looking backward, looking at trends is AI, and there's great value in that. But it's looking forward with a great deal of accuracy. That's where tools like AI really starts playing a big role. What will your customers die for if they only knew you could sell it to them? A target that no one can see. Please, can you stop giving us shit service? My bank's represented here today. My telco's represented here today. On behalf of us normal people out there. And I heard the talks today and they were great. But some here and there I thought, man, you live in a bubble. I remember I worked for one of our banks, and whenever I went to the branch, which was a horrible experience, because why should we go? But sometimes you have to. Whenever they put in my ID, they saw my staff number. And then they would say, oh, you work for the bank. Where do you work? And at that stage, I was at infrastructure and operations, which I should never say. Because what's the first thing these tellers say? Our system is so slow. We've been down 4 times today. Can you guys fix it? And you know what I then realized when I started speaking to our execs? That most of them have not been to a branch in 10 years. And I'm not talking about an official visit, because they'll clean that place up for you. Put on a baseball cap and some sunglasses and go stand in the fucking queue. And see all the exec summaries that you get that tells you how great the bank is. Go and experience it yourself. And actually speak with the people who work there. What frustrates them? Some of the things they say you just can't fix. But there might be a few things that you go, I didn't see that in my executive reporting pack last week, because it's a massive ass covering exercise, isn't it? We all look good. Remember the bullshit layers, okay? It's unacceptable to give us bad service. I've told you the story about my wonderful, warm-feeling SMS about my wedding anniversary. My fiancée had an interesting experience with one of the banks present here today. Hello, people. Watch it. She went for and this again, we experienced these things. She went for an ATM withdrawal. The ATM took her card, phoned the bank to stop it. Took her a while to get through. And then the bank said, you have to come to the branch and apply for a new card. It's going to cost you 80 Rand. And then we will SMS you in 4 or 5 days when your new card is here. I work in this AI stuff. I speak at these conferences. Man, we live in la la land. Why should she go to the branch and pay for something that's not her fault and then wait 3 days for it? We all have horror stories. The other one that I love is, I've been with my mobile provider since they started. And I've been an iPhone user since we received the first iPhones. Last year in August, it was time for me to upgrade, every 2 years or so. In August, I thought, I'm actually quite surprised they haven't phoned. And also all the emails I get from them. When you get your bill, there's always a lot of marketing stuff in it. Huawei, Samsung phones. I'm not interested in that. Why are you sending me stuff I don't want to buy? Because you're throwing jelly at the wall and you hope something sticks. Your messaging to me is clear that you know nothing about me. I then phoned them to say, listen, I must upgrade. Obviously, I'm a huge churn risk here. At that stage, I didn't feel that special. I could go anywhere and port my number. I phoned them to find out when can I actually take out the new contract and what are my options. And I know often these contact centers are outsourced, but 3 times the call dropped during the conversation. You know how many times they called me back? Not once. All right. And we all have stories like this. This was last week, I think it was last week. How much money are we spending on tech? I did a talk last week and one of the banks were present and this senior person said, it's one of these banks, he said, no man, we do about double that. 5.8 million rand, guys. Why must we go get our card at the branch?
The difference is we actually make something happen. So we don't spend 11 billion.
I like that. I know. I'm picking on you because I can sense you can handle it. Okay. You know why my car won't be scratched when I go outside? Because I'm here with Uber, so I'm fine. All right. Okay. But we're spending a lot of money. And again, I'm oversimplifying it. I'm trying to get to that moment at the end of the talk, Rocky running up the stairs with his hoodie on. How many of you have that somewhere in your life? Earphones, Rocky, hoodie on. I run about 5 stairs and I need to stop to rest a little bit. But we're spending a lot of money. And obviously some of this, a lot of it's most likely making a great deal of sense. If your final judge is your client, how good are we really doing? Who are your customers? I sit in so many meetings, and especially when I was in consulting. Our customers want this and that. I think our customers says that, and I then ask people, do you actually know any of these people that you're talking about? I'm not talking about research from some company. Do you know some of these clients? When last have you spoken to them? When last did you go to the branch, speak to the tellers, as an example? I love this series, if you've watched it, Undercover Boss. They take the CEO of a company and disguise him or her, and they actually go work with the normal people on the factory floor. And they normally discover things that they never realized. Obviously, the personal stories about people maybe with cancer and they've lost a child, etc. But a lot of these people also share about their frustrations in their day-to-day jobs that the execs, again, won't realize. So a lot of my banking clients in particular advocate this. Be mystery shoppers in the digital age. I spoke with somebody at a bank 2 weeks ago about their mobile app, which is crap, okay? And he was so excited about the app. And I asked him, do you actually use the app? He said, no, I haven't really. Same happened with a chatbot client. I'm going to tell you an interesting story. It was before lockdown. One of our banks contacted me and said, help us with our chatbot. It's a dentist next door, don't worry about it. And I said, why do you need a chatbot, or why do you need to improve your chatbot? And he said the reason is that, and I can't remember all the numbers now, about 20%, 27% of our clients who start engaging us on the mobile app ends up going to the branch. Obviously, you don't want that. So they want a chatbot. And then when we looked into it, the fundamental architecture behind that chatbot was wrong. It was frustrating. It's like most chatbots, a glorified FAQ. I could just as well have waited online and spoken to an actual, remember those days? A human who could answer my questions. The other example is a big medical aid company. Their inbound call center receives, I think it was a staggering 500,000 calls a month. And they wanted to use automation and insights and RPA to improve their efficiency, which is not a bad thing to do. And I sometimes think the reason why they pay me is because I'm the dumbest guy in the room. I said, why are you getting so many calls? I promise you in this meeting, they all looked at each other. We haven't considered that yet. First principles. Why are so many clients calling you? I didn't offend you. Oh, sorry, I thought you were walking up here to me. Okay, sorry. That's a medical aid administrating company. What we realized is that when people join one of the medical aids funds that they administer, the initial documentation they receive is unclear about things like how to log a claim and some other basic things. So that's why they keep on calling, they're unsure. So now they wanted to jump on this AI analytics RPA bandwagon, where the real problem was that their messaging to clients was wrong. So we changed the messaging and the calls dropped significantly. If you're not using Excel properly, please don't use AI. All right, no really, you'll be very surprised. So use your own products and services, consume them. Not, again, as the exec visiting the branch, as just a normal guy or lady going into the branch. I've mentioned this already, the amount of profiling we can do in our clients. Now you have to be careful because even though Popea doesn't really speak so directly to AI as such, profiling without consent is illegal. You know what I think the banks must be so tempted in doing? Sorry, the telcos. My telco doesn't know what's happening in my bank account. But they send me all the SMSs of all my transactions. I wonder if they're not a bit tempted to use that data. Because they can't look into my bank account, but they see all my transactions. I just wonder, man, it must be so tempting. Can we not use that data without anyone knowing? And now also, because now the telcos are huge competitors of the banks. Imagine the products and services you can sell me knowing what I spend my money on. Can't use the data. I do still think you do. But human behavioral science in real time. I recently worked on a POC for a bank, and I understand there are branding principles, etc. But and go back to the Netflix example. On your mobile app, some people like it when the menu is top left. Others like it when it's bottom right. Some people like a red background. And again, it's tricky with branding principles or policies. If I click on the menu, why do I get 55 items? Can you not predict what I'm looking for? Stupid example, on the 25th of the month, what are we all doing when we go online? Was I paid? Well, I don't know. I think ABSA gets paid on the 15th and the 17th and the 18th. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. But so give me a menu that's maybe the 3 top most likely items I want to look at with the option of expanding it. Almost done. I see people start leaving. They're looking for my car that's not here. Okay. A few common sense principles. This is actually laughable. But before I get there, I want to quickly read you something. Did you see the Elon Musk biography that came out this month? Walter Isaacson, what a great biographer. He wrote a number of biographies. His best one for me was on Steve Jobs a few years back. This Elon Musk is incredible. So, you know why his companies are successful? There are many reasons. Because as a CEO, he's an engineer. Where does he sleep most days? On the factory floor. He's actually involved, although they say he's a horrible, horrible person to work for, which I struggle with. But he's actually involved in the assembly line as the CEO. And there's this example in the Tesla factory. It's just 1.5 pages. At one point, Musk noticed that the assembly line was being slowed at a station where strips of fiberglass were glued to the battery packs by an expensive but slow robot. The robot's suction cups kept dropping the strip and it applied too much glue. Now, I'm talking about automation here. Listen to Musk. I realized that the first error was trying to automate the process. First error. Which was my fault because I pushed for a lot of automation. Are you pushing for a lot of automation? Are you using Chat Common Sense GPT while you're doing that? After much frustration, Musk finally asked the basic question, what the hell are these strips for? He was trying to visualize why fiberglass pieces were needed between the battery and the floor of the car. The engineering team told him that it had been specified by the noise reduction team. See the silos here? To cut down the vibration. So he called the noise reduction team, which told him that the specification came from the engineering team to reduce the risk of fire. Quoting Musk, it was like being in a Dilbert cartoon. So we ordered them to record the sound inside the car with or without the fiberglass. See if you can tell the difference. They couldn't. Quoting Musk, step one should be to question the requirements. Make them less wrong and dumb, because all requirements are somewhat wrong and dumb. And then delete, delete, delete. There's a number of stories of the stuff he discovered on the assembly line. And because it's somebody said it, somebody specified, somebody said we should do this, but we don't even know, and when we figure it out, or try and figure it out, we actually don't even know where that came from. Just to leave you with, again, laughably common sense points, I feel ashamed when I send my client my bill. Because why should they pay me for that? But they're so into this star-spangled bangle AI dream that they forget this stuff. So I have to really dumb it down for them. Of course, start small. Make mistakes. None of this is new. We forget it with AI for some reason. A CIO at an investment bank in Sandton last week said this. His mandate from the board is to AI 50% of their business. What does that mean? How do you AI 50% of your business? One of the biggest problems I see at the moment is AI automation being a KPI from the top. So if your increase or promotion depends on it, you're going to AI like crazy. You're going to automate like crazy. Right technology, there's a good chance that you already have the right technology. If you're not using Excel, don't use AI. If you're a Microsoft client, as an example, or AWS or others, there is so much in their tool sets that you can use when it comes to automation and AI. Not everything. Sometimes you need specific niche tools for it as well. Before you go into RFP, make sure you know what you've got, all right? Train your staff, we know this. You know that there's not one HR department that I'm working with that's doing the following. When we have a new human joining our team, we onboard them, we greet them, we have coffee or beers with them, we make them feel comfortable, we train them, because we need to build a trust relationship. No HR team I work with have a policy when a non-human intelligent agent joins the team. Digital twin, a chatbot, etc. It's okay for now, because we might be 9 people in a team and 1 non-human intelligence. In the next few years, we're going to be 2 people in the team and 8 non-human intelligence systems. Will human resources change their names to, I don't know, digital resources management systems or teams or whatever? How do we integrate the right balance between humans working alongside technology? So we need to make people comfortable, and they need to know how to use these tools. Obviously, these things we know. I've mentioned that already. Please use your own products. Test them, make sure it works. Don't look at the executive briefing and the slides that you get every Monday morning. Go do it yourself. So, just to summarize, and then I'm going to hope for my eye of the tiger moment. We've got incredible tools that we're using already. We can, in real time, through behavioral science and AI tools, really not just know what our clients have been doing or want right now, but might even need in the near future. We can really hyper-personalize the experiences like a Netflix, for instance. It all starts with people first and common sense. I hope that helped. I can send my invoice later for all this advice I gave you, which no one else knew about. Thank you very much for the organizers. I hope you enjoyed it.